Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CAPI MachinePools Working Group, our bi-weekly meeting. It's November 11th. It's KubeCon week, so a lot of people are there, but we are here to talk about moving machine pools forward. I'm sure you're all well aware, but we're supposed to say that we are a Kubernetes sub-project, and so we try to stick with their code of conduct, which basically boils down to let's make this a happy, welcoming place for everybody to participate. That is not usually a problem. If you want to put your name in the attendees list here, please do so. Otherwise, we'll move on to the agenda. Feel free to interrupt me or whatever. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Do we have anybody who's here for the first time who wants to say hi? If so, I'll be quiet for a few minutes and just unmute and say whatever you would like to. I think it's all familiar faces, but all right, let's move on. Richard, you have the first agenda item.
Yes, very quick one, just to say that the MachinePools contract document is up for review. I think the PR there, Fabrizio and Andreas have already left good reviews with lots of typos and suggestions, and so it's all been good. Yeah, obviously, if you have time, it'd be great to have other reviews and other input onto it. So. I guess one thing to note based on the discussion in there is this document's purely the contract. So the contract between CAPI and a provider. It's not necessarily documenting all of the behavioral processing of machine pools, because I think that's going to sit probably in there's a separate document for the controller logic and the flow and things like that. So some of the suggestions on this PR have been what I would class as like the behavioral side of things, like this one here, which doesn't necessarily have any relation to pure contract type stuff. So I thought we could probably move on to, we'd have to update that machine pool controller doc there. You can see in that comment anyway, because that has some of the contract stuff in there. So we could potentially do that at the same time. Just a FYI, and also if anyone's interested in doing that work.
Great. I will try and take a look at this today. I haven't actually reviewed it yet. But that's awesome. That's a big milestone for us, is having the contract better documented.
Well, I guess, Barry, I'll go.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Bharat.
Yeah, Richard, you said that the controller document, someone else can take it up, or you said you'll do this part of this PR.
I wasn't intending to do it part of this PR, just to keep PR fairly concise. So yeah, it has to be done as a follow-up. I'm not overly wedded to doing it myself. So if someone like yourself, for example, wanted to take it up, then yeah, I'm more than happy for that. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to do it myself, but I can do if need be.
Okay, and do you have any, I mean, like, what kind of content to update in the controller doc, or is it more based on the comments in this PR?
I think it's partly based on our discussion on the PR, but also looking at some of the other controller docs that are already in there. So, for example, the machine controller docs, just to see how that's been refactored over time. But then I guess we're probably going to add some additional content in there based on our conversations around, the upgrade and things like that. So I think it's mainly those two things.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I can give it a try, but it's just that the big questions around upgrades and then the other one around bootstrap configuration and probably something like that. It's I mean the write-up is okay, but then the decision-making process is something that I'll need help with. So I can, to the best of my knowledge, come up with something and then ask for reviews from you and Matt and whoever else in the community, and you guys can help me out there. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Thanks.
All right. Rich, you still have your hand up? You have more to say, or
Yeah, sorry, that reminded me of
go for
something.
it?
So it's going through the contract doc, there's a few fields that are in there that CAPI doesn't actually use itself within the controller. So I've put them in there because various providers have seemed to have implemented them. There seems some utility in having them. An example, or two examples that come to mind straight away are provider ID. So there is the provider ID list, which is actually used by the machine pool controller, but there's actually provider ID. And so something like Kappa will just stick in the underlying cloud resource identifier in there. So the autoscale group ID into that provider ID. It's not actually used by core CAPI itself. And another one is instances. So there's a field that some providers, including the CAPD provider, have included, which in the status, which is instances, which is actually a slice of information about each of the replicas within that pool, like we're having the IP address, the provider ID, and things like that. Again, not used by core CAPI itself, but seems to have been adopted, and so yeah, I've put them in there for the time being, calling out that hey, these are not used by core CAPI. But I guess we probably need to decide whether we just actually just remove them from the contract or just keep them in there as hey, maybe this is a good idea just for visibility. What I can do is I can put something into our channel just as well for the wider visibility. Get input.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea. I wasn't aware of that, and at first glance, it sounds like instances should be redundant with provider IDs, at least the way we use it. But so I would think we'd want to keep that out of the contract, but I need to read it and before I have a stronger opinion.
Cool, sounds good.
Cool. Anything else about the contract, Doc? Please take a review if you have some time. Yeah, Matt.
So, oh, I'm sorry, I should have raised my hand.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
So what I think maybe we could like write down somewhere like what exactly was the follow-up if that you were mentioning, Richard or Rich. Sorry, I always forget if you go by one or the other.
Either or. Yeah, I'll add it to the action items at the end of here.
Okay.
Okay.
Next thing on the agenda is yours, Matt. Go
Yeah,
for it.
so thanks for all the comments, and reviews. I think at this point, probably the next step is to just kind of take a sweep through this, and we should try to figure out what do we absolutely need to graduate out of experimental, what do we not need. I think that would be I'm imagining there's probably some things here that are kind of like nice to have, but probably are not needed, not required. A little bit difficult for me to know with my limited context. If there's a way that I could get better at knowing that, I'm also happy to take the suggestion. So I think that's one thing, one task that we should do here. The second thing is we should try to figure out, I think, like what sort of format do we want this to live in? My fear of putting it back into GitHub is that it will just turn back into the PR that we're pruning right now. So um, I'm wondering if maybe we don't have to do this right now, but at some point, some sort of brainstorm of how we want these tasks that are required, where we want them to live, and what kind of format. Did that make sense? Did anyone misunderstand anything that makes sense? Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I get that. It's I guess core CAPI for things like the V1 Beta 2 upgrade, they just had one issue and then they just had like the items that they just ticked off as they went through. But I know some people don't necessarily like that, so I don't know whether we could just have a project board with all the things in there that we think and just link all issues into that. Project board for machine pool graduation. Let me just put everything in there, maybe.
When you say project board, Can you give me an
in,
example?
in GitHub. So in GitHub
Mm,
projects, and then
okay.
we can
Okay.
put it all in there maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep looking around and seeing. I mean, I think it's fine if we just put it back into GitHub as the same kind of PR that we took it out from. I just was thinking, it'd be worth bringing it up so that we don't accidentally end up in the same situation as we were before. But yeah, I mean, it's fine also to do it that way.
No, but this won't be a PR. This would be like Jira, like a project organization and stories and all that, right?
If we went with that
Yeah.
project board, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, even I had like Matt pretty much covered all the questions that I had as well. But just maybe to add, I was really waiting for the contract doc before picking up any proper story. But now that we have that, that just at least getting a very good idea of that, even though there are some comments to address, it's fine. Should we start picking issues? Because in my head, I'm like categorizing them into like two or three main categories, although there are smaller issues. One is with the upgrade scenario, one is with the bug fixes, another one is, let's say, our um, V1, Beta 2 status and conditions and related to that, right? So I'm trying to organize it in my head. So I think things can go parallelly. We don't have to depend on any sort of order, is what my understanding is. So can I just go through the tickets, the PRs, and whatever, and then try to pick one and then work on it? Or do you guys have any suggestions on the priority of what tickets to pick first?
Well, sorry, I didn't raise my
No, go
hand
ahead.
again. Uh, my fear, I mean, I was also thinking the same thing. Like now that we are starting to have probably most of the things that we need to do in one place, we might be able to just start assigning things to ourselves. The only fear I would have is that I wouldn't want you to waste your time. Like the reason why I wanted to triage them first is so that we could get the most impactful, we could decide on what's the most impactful things to work on first for the graduation. But that was my only thought, so that you wouldn't pick something that was maybe lower priority, and then we decide there's something else that was higher priority. That was my only thought here.
But at the same time, if you have cycles and are looking for something to work on this week, I feel like we shouldn't wait for us to do most of the things that are on that list are things that we want to do, I think. Would you agree? So uh I think it's unlikely you'd pick something that would be a waste of time at this point. But uh, I don't want to discourage anybody from picking an issue and working on it. I think that would be fine. And it seems like we still have some prioritization to do, but I think you're unlikely to pick something that is going to end up being a waste of time. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I guess that list, those lists were originally from one of the CAPI maintainers as the things that would be required to get out of graduation. Okay, it was a brain dump, and some may not no longer be needed. But yeah, 100% agree. Anything on that list, especially if you have the enthusiasm and time to do it, would help us in any way.
Agreed. Cool. So does that give you a way forward, Matt? Do you think you're still going to think about it, or you want to start a project board, or do you need more support from us? Or
Yeah, I think that's great. I guess it didn't occur to me that if like 90% of the things there are things we want to do anyway, then yeah, we can just get started. So I'll add this into a project board, and I'll drop an update in the Slack channel. And I guess if most of the items here are things that we want to do regardless, then yeah, we maybe we just don't really need a triage. We can just list the items and see if anything needs more context or not.
Sounds good to me. Cool. Anything else on this topic? If not, Rich, want to talk about conditions and initialization alignment?
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, related to the last topic in a way, is Fabrizio has called out a number of times, I guess, why we still have V1 Beta 1, V1 Beta 2 APIs. We have a window of opportunity to do some work on condition alignment. So, i.e., moving to the Meta V1 conditions and updating the machine pool controller to use those conditions properly and set them properly, and also move to the initialization or initialized status field in machine pools instead of the ready, because most machine deployments had ready originally, but they've moved more to this initialization. I forget the name of it, field in the status. So I was going to look at those two next, just purely because Fabrizio's mentioned it twice, so I thought that is important. So really, if anyone wants to help with that, more than happy to split it. But yeah, I'll make sure there's issues created for that as well, and then added to your doc. I think they are talked about in general, but there's no issues.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I don't remember seeing that on our list, but need to do. I'd like to help with that. I'm just I don't know if I'm going to have much time at all this week, but if you do get somewhere, I'd love to help review or maybe help out with it if I get freed up later this week.
Yeah, awesome. I'll ping you.
Cool. That's all we have on the agenda. We have some action items identified. It looks like that's what we talked about. What else is on people's minds? Anything else we should talk about here?
So similar to what Bharat was saying, if we decide to take a task and we need a review, is the best channel to drop it in our channel, or is it the main? I know there's like another more main channel for CAPI.
I think we should start with the MachinePools channel, and then if you don't get enough reviews, then we can just go into the cluster API channel. But the overall idea is, the maintainers aren't really experts in it, and we need to be the experts. And ideally, we are a self-sustaining little group that's doing most of the reviewing and then just handing things off to them so they can go, yeah, that looks good, merge it. So I think the goal would be that we review as much of our stuff and get it as close to mergeable as possible before we bug their main maintainers. But
Okay.
I'm not sure how that plays out in reality. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah.
Oh, you just thumbs upping. Yeah. Okay. Well, if we don't have anything else, I guess we can call it good for today. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, right? Because we're doing this every other week now.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the Slack channel as well.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yep.
Thanks for hosting, Matt. Cheers.
Thank you.